Now they are similar to each other, but there's enough differences. Hold on, I'm stuck. So if you're scared of permatease, truly don't be scared of this permatease. So those are the major differences in the cap. This right here is why I find this to be a little bit more cutting edge and trendy. That gives you the ability to play with the style. I'd love to know which one you like the most. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Chiquel YouTube channel. My name is Amanda and today I'm going to be showing you the difference between two really trendy pixies that I really like by Ellen Wille. But before I jump into it all, I'm going to remind you to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel where you can learn even more about alternative hair. Alright, so if you know me, you know I don't really wear pixies very often. There's some that I put on sometimes though, and I'm like, oh, actually this is kind of cute. Maybe I would wear it, but then I don't end up wearing them. But that's not to say that I don't find these two pixies here really cute and also really trendy and also really great for a lot of different age groups. I feel like they're trendy enough that they can be worn by someone young, but they're also nice pixies that can be worn by someone who is more mature. Now these are both by Ellen Wille, and if you know Ellen Wille makes a lot of pixies. They make a ton of pixies, and I find they make some of the nicest pixie styles out there, including these two here. So I have for you today 7 mono part as well as link mono part. Now they are similar to each other, but there's enough differences between them that I think you'll be able to decide pretty easily which one you would probably prefer more for you. So I'm gonna start off by showing you guys 7 mono part here. We're gonna dive into this a little bit and then I will introduce link for you and we can talk about all of the differences. So 7 mono part, let's go over the cap first. I will let you know that this is so lightweight. I mean, pixies in general, there's not a lot of hair on them and they are gonna be lightweight, but this one is really lightweight. And Ellen Wille is also known for their lower density styles. So you will find that with this. Anyways, let me carry on with the cap here. So 7 mono part is going to have this left monofilament part, hence the mono part in the name, and it's about 1 inch wide. So you have about 1 inch of space here to work with to put the part wherever you want within that space there. That goes directly into your temple to temple lace front. Just know that it's not extended into your ear tab. It's just temple to temple right about here. We also have on 7 mono part an open wefted cap. So that means you can stick your fingers through it, it's ventilated and breathable, it's stretchy as well. And the wefting means that all of these fibers have been sewn by a machine into these rows here. So none of this is hand tied. The only hand tied portion of this cap would be on the monofilament. And this is where each of those fibers have been individually sewn by hand into this part here. But the rest of this is all machine made into these wefts. You're also gonna find this velvet ear tab and then your velvet extended nape and your Velcro adjusters. And I will add that in these velvet ear tabs here, you're gonna find a metal stay. So that is bendable. Oh, sorry, let me show you how it's bendable. The majority of wigs you'll find, the majority of these like pre-made sort of big brand wigs, you'll find they will have these metal stays in them because that's what helps them become a glueless wig. So these 2 wigs I'm showing you today are glueless, meaning you don't need any adhesive in order to secure it to your head. It has these Velcro adjusters along with this like elastic band around the outside. And you can make this smaller, like tighter or looser. So that helps it secure around your head with tension. And then the metal stays within your ear tab here. That gives it a little bit more structure at the ear tab so that it's not flopping around as if it were made out of lace and there's no metal stay in it. So the metal stay helps it stay more flush to your temples here. Okay, let's get 7 mono part on now. And I'm wearing this in the color Silver Blonde Rooted. Hold on, I'm stuck. All right. Silver Blonde Rooted is a mixture of a 60 and a 23. So the 60 is going to be basically like a pure white color. So You see a lot more of that than you would the 23. The 23 is like a nice subtle blonde that comes throughout this. So it's not that stark white color. It has a little touch of blonde to sort of warm it up a bit. Plus we have a medium to darker brown root here. So let me start by just giving you guys the old spinaroo. So 7 Mono Part is made with plain synthetic fiber. This is not heat-friendly synthetic, this is plain synthetic fiber. You're also gonna find this to be a pretty light density. So when I talk about density, that refers to how much hair is actually, or how much fiber is actually on this wig. So it's a pretty low density, there's not too much. However, you're gonna find just a touch of permatease. Permatease is what you'll find at the root of some synthetic wigs. That helps to give it volume, helps to give it a bit more shape, and helps to hide some wefting. You're not gonna find the permatease throughout this bottom portion of your cap here. You're only gonna find the permatease just a little bit in the crown and just a little bit on the sides here. It's honestly not a lot. So if you're scared of permatease, truly don't be scared of this permatease because it is such a thin layer. It's really just there to help give you a little bit of extra lift that you can use to your advantage to help create a little bit more diversity within this style here. If you didn't have that permatease, it would be harder to do something like this and it would be harder to play around with the style. But I think some of these pixies definitely thrive on having at least a little bit of permatease to help you with that styling. Now you're definitely gonna find a bang here on 7 Mono Part. It's a good length of a bang, I find. It's not insanely long. I mean, obviously you can trim it if you need to, but often I find a lot of wigs come with really long bangs because it allows you the opportunity to make it more your own. 7 Mono Part, however, the bangs are not too insanely long, but like I said, you can trim it if you need to. So you can choose to bring them forward like I have them now. But since this is a left mono part, a left monofilament part, you could even try to sweep them to the side. But that being said, you might need a little bit of heat from something like a fabric steamer to help you direct the fibers where you want them to go. As you can see, the fibers are fighting me a little bit on this. They want to keep coming forward because that's kind of their rightful home and where they want to be. But if I took a steamer, I could sweep them to the side a little bit if that was something that I would want to do. And now, although it's not necessary because we do have these bangs here, we have a lace front. So the lace front it's always nice to have, even if you do have bangs, you know, just in case the wind blows funny, or, you know, you just want to brush them to the side, or if you want to style them back and up a little bit, then it looks like it's growing right from your hairline, which is a lovely feature to have. And then of course we have that left monofilament part. Let me draw a line in my part. So when you get a wig, you're usually gonna get it with a zigzag part, but you're not gonna wanna keep that zigzag part in there if you are keeping your wig. You'll want to expose your monofilament part so that it looks like it's growing out of your scalp. So that's what that looks like. And of course, like I was mentioning about the bangs, if you want the fiber to go a certain way after you've made your part, you're probably going to need a little bit of heat from something like a fabric steamer for these synthetic styles in order to get it to go where you want it to go. You could also spritz it with some water and use a blow dryer on a low heat setting to help direct the fibers to the other side too if you need. Now, of course, you can see there's lots of layering going on in here. I do find that the right side of 7 Mono Part is like just a little bit longer than the left side. I don't know if you can tell, like these fibers are coming up here, whereas these ones are coming a little bit lower. It's not significant, but it is very subtle. So if you like that sort of asymmetrical look, you're gonna just barely find that with 7 Mono Part. But like I said, there's lots of layering throughout this, and then the back is tapered. You're gonna find that the back of this is 1.5 inches long from your nape. So let me show you the back again. but I find that all of the layering in the back here, it's long enough so that you're not necessarily going to see through to any of the wefting. So I don't think you really need to be worried about that. I'm also gonna apologize if I'm talking funny or if I'm holding my mouth funny. I bit the inside of my mouth yesterday and now I just am so uncomfortable and I feel like I'm talking so strangely and I feel like my mouth is like going sideways. So I apologize if that is distracting in any way. Hopefully I'll get my mouth all healed up soon enough. Okay, one more thing to add about 7 mono part is that this fits a little bit smaller than average. And that is something that you will find to be true amongst many Ellen Wille styles. Not all of them, but many of them, the majority of them tend to fit a little bit smaller than average. That's not to say that this is not gonna fit someone who is an average size because we do have a lot of stretch in it, but it definitely does fit my petite head a little nicer than other averages out there. I will mention I measure 20.5 inches in circumference, 11.5 inches front to nape, 11.5 inches ear to ear. So if you are average, I think you will be fine with the circumference because it does stretch a lot. It just might be nice to keep in mind your front to nape measurement and your ear to ear measurement because I don't have a lot of extra space in here. So although it might fit you in your circumference, you might find that it sits back on you if your front to nape and ear to ear measurements are a little bit too big. And you might have a hard time pulling it forward and keeping it forward, and you might find it slides back a bit because the cap could potentially be a little bit small. But okay, I'm gonna keep 7 mono part on while I show you quickly the cap of link mono part. So link mono part has a similar cap as 7 mono part. There is a slight difference though that I'll draw to your attention. So we do have that left mono part here, just like we do on 7. However, on link, the part goes all the way back to your crown, whereas on 7 mono part, it probably goes back to about here. So it's not quite as long. I'll take this off in a second and I'll show you. It's not quite as long on 7 mono part, but goes all the way to the crown on link. Another major difference you're gonna find in these caps is that link in my hands here has just this mini lace front. You do not have that temple to temple lace front on link like you do on 7 mono part. The rest of this cap though is very similar with the open wefting, the velvet ear tabs with your metal stays, your extended velvet nape, and your Velcro adjusters. But let me just take 7 off so that you can see what I mean here. So here you can see that mono part goes back just to here, whereas on link, it goes all the way back to the crown, to the stitching at the back of the crown there. So it's a bit longer on link. And then here's your mini lace front on link and your temple to temple lace front on 7 mono part. So those are the major differences in the cap. But other than that, you have your open wefting, your velvet ear tabs, extended velvet nape, and Velcro adjusters. Okay, let me get link on now. And I think out of the 2 of them, link is my favorite one. And I'm showing this in the color Pearl Blonde Rooted, which is a little bit more geared towards my color scheme, I think. Let me just get this all organized here. I find that link, the one on my head, is a little bit trendier. And I think you might be able to see that or kind of see why in just a second here. Okay, so like I said, I'm wearing the color Pearl Blonde Rooted. This is going to be a mix of a 101, a 23, and a 20. So the 101 is basically like a bright platinum blonde, almost like a white blonde. It's kind of in that platinum territory. That's where you see that more ash, bright blonde tones. And then your 23 and your 20, that's just sort of that mixture of the sandy blonde, that more medium blonde color that you see going throughout here to add more dimension. And then we are going to have more of a medium to light, warm brown root here. So this is Pearl Platinum Blonde. Let me spin for you and we'll take a look at the style before I talk about it. So overall, you guys, the lengths of both of these wigs are very similar. At the nape of the neck here on Link, you're gonna find that the nape goes 1.75 inches long, whereas on 7, it was 1.5 inches. So similar in length at the back here. You also have similar layering on the back of them. Here, I don't know if this helps, but they're both tapered at the back. The real difference is mostly in the layers on the top and then what you see in the front here. So with 7 monopart, I mentioned how there is a slight, ever so slight asymmetrical cut about it, but like, oh my gosh, it's so slight. You would only be able to tell if you looked really close. Whereas Link, it's more dramatic. You're gonna find on the right side here, you have a much longer, more asymmetrical look here. Whereas on the left, it's cut and layered nicely up here. So this right here is why I find this to be a little bit more cutting edge and trendy. And this is kind of why I feel like it looks a little bit better on me than 7 does. Now, if we take a look at the bang here, I find the bang on Link is a little bit more easily swept to the side. Whereas on 7, the bangs, it's like they're more meant to come forward. But Link has a little bit more ability to be swept to the side like this. But I believe that it has a little bit more of ability to be swept to the side because Link here is actually made with heat-friendly synthetic fiber, whereas 7 is made with plain synthetic. Whenever you have a heat-friendly synthetic, I find that it's a little bit more of a gummier consistency. It's not that it's sticky or anything, it's just, I don't know how else to explain it. You can kind of feel the difference. It's a little bit more gummy, a little bit more like pliable in a way, which gives you a little bit more ability to maneuver it where you want it to go before applying heat to set it in the direction that you want it. Now, just like 7, you're gonna find that Link is a nice low density, and you're also gonna find that Link has that small layer of permatease up on the top section here, not throughout your wefting here. You're not really gonna find any permatease there, but you will find a little bit here. So again, that gives you the ability to play with the style, give it a little bit of lift if you want to. And I also find that the heat-friendly synthetic fibers, whenever you have them on a Pixie style like this that has a lot of layering, it gives you the ability to really bring out the texture of those layers a little bit more easily than if it were with plain synthetic fiber. And that's because of that consistency and the texture of the fiber. Like I said, it's a little bit gummier. If you were to spray this with water, you'd really be able to just use water to help style it. But if you really want to bring out the texture in this, you can definitely add some wig wax or some like contour cream to your fingers and just play with the tips, and that will make this like a super funky style. Now, here is that mini lace front. So we have maybe like 1.5 inches here of lace, and then it goes into just the rest of your cap, that hard front there. So I find that that's fine. You're gonna have hair in the front like this anyways, whether you bring the bangs forward or whether you sweep them to the side. And because this is a left part here, you're gonna sweep them over top of that right side where it's still going to hide that hard front. So I don't think it makes a huge difference in the believability of this wig at all. And then, like I said, you have that left part. So here's that, it kind of has a zigzag part going on. But if you decide to keep this, definitely drag your finger through it, part the ways so that you can expose your monofilament here to give you that illusion of scalp. Now, I will let you know also that Link here does fit a little bit smaller than average. It has a very similar fit to 7 monopart. All right, you guys, I think that is all I have to say to you about these two styles. Like I mentioned before, I think Link is my personal favorite, but I'd love to know which one you like the most. Do you like 7 monopart, a little bit more of a conservative style, yet also trendy? Or do you like this more cutting edge style with Link? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, if you have either one of these styles, I'd love to hear your experience with it and how it's been wearing for you and what your thoughts are on them. But thank you so much for being here with me today. I truly appreciate your support, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.